with Sunflower Spirit Tarot, and I'm here with a message for Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and any other significant placements. This will just be a general message, so whatever I see is what I'm going to read, but it's typically going to be about your relationship to something or someone in particular. All right, let's get started here. Benevolent ancestors, guardian angels, spirit guides, those that come to us in and through unconditional love only. What are the most important messages, predictions, and happenings to, for, from, about, and around Cancer from the time they view this video moving forward? Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and any other significant placements. What are the most important messages to, for, from, about, and around Cancer from the time they view this video moving forward? I hope you guys have been well. If this is your first time watching one of my readings, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you are already an official Sunflower, I'm so happy that you are giving me another chance to connect with you and your beautiful energy. Welcome back. If I can get it together with this deck, we can get started here. Let's do a couple more here. All right, one more. And let's go. Comfort, confirmation, or clarity. Whatever Cancer needs at this time, let's give it to them. We got the Hierophant at the bottom of the deck. This is Taurus energy. You could have those placements in your chart, or you could be dealing with the Taurus. The Priest energy is an energy of learning lessons, of seeking mentorship, and possibly moving through a different stage in your life, evolving, elevating. We got the Emperor as the first card out. Really strong energy here. That's Aries. We got the Death card with Scorpio. 5 of Swords. The Tower. The Stars. Aquarius energy. You got a lot of major arcana here for you. King of Swords. Princess of Pentacles. 4 Swords. And the Ace of Chalices ending the reading. That's really positive, loving energy. Oh my goodness. I love it. Queen of Cups as the overall energy. Now this is obviously a card that represents you. This is feminine water sign energy. This is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. You have a lot of major arcanas out here. If you don't know what that means, it just means those are the more significant cards in any tarot deck. You have 4 here. And what these represent to me is like a major transformation or some sort of major evolution or going through a major transition in your life that's going to lead to wish fulfillment. Or maybe you're coming into that wish fulfillment. Let's clarify the Queen of Chalices here, which is the Queen of Cups. Why is the Queen of Cups the overall energy for Cancer? Why is the Queen of Cups the overall energy here? I'll clarify this and we'll get into it. Princess of Wands, 10 of Chalices, and the Strength card. The Sorceress at the bottom of the deck is the hidden energy. This is basically the Magician card. And just under that, it's kind of highlighting the messages that I'm already getting is the 5 of Cups. Okay? There's something that you're coming to terms with. Okay, there's something that is significant. A significant period or chapter in your life is ending. It could have something to do with your career or your professional life. It doesn't have to. But with the Emperor here, that typically talks about business, entrepreneurship, and all that kind of stuff. Now, when we have the Death card coming in, that means that there's going to be some sort of extreme change, or you're going through an extreme change or transition here. The Tower card almost double emphasizes that. Basically, whatever it is, everything that you believed you knew about whatever it is that this reading is talking to you about is crumbling. It came crashing down. Your perception has changed. Your reality has changed as a result of your shifting perspective. And you're learning to walk in that. You're learning to fully and finally accept that you don't have to fight against this. You don't have to resist this. This change, this transformation, whatever it is that you're going through right now, or whatever it is that you're coming out on the other side of, was absolutely working for you and working in your benefit. This is only going to create more abundance, more love, more prosperity, more vulnerability, more ability to connect with the things that speak to you and speak to your heart. This is also you allowing yourself to dream again. There may have been a time where you felt disconnected from your emotions, disconnected from the people that you care about, or you were finding yourself connecting to people who weren't reciprocating that connection. I do see you distancing yourself from anything that doesn't speak to your heart, that doesn't speak to the way that you love and a lifestyle that you live, right? I think you are a very kind-hearted, pure, and open and honest person, but you walk in your emotions, and sometimes you can be a little chaotic. Sometimes you can be a little moody, but that's just a part of dealing with you and everything that comes with you. And you're understanding that you don't have to shrink yourself. You don't have to be small. You don't have to play it safe. In order for people to love you, in order for people to come through for you, in order for people to see you for who you actually are, you don't have to pretend to be this cold, callous, calculating person, even though maybe sometimes you can be a little strategic when it comes to certain things, right? Maybe you've used your emotions in the past to manipulate, to force people into ultimatums, this side or that side. But I feel like that was more of like a defense mechanism. It's almost like if you're not willing to honor this ultimatum by doing what I'm asking you to do, then you don't belong in my life anyway. Not all ultimatums are bad. Not all ultimatums are something that is born of the desire to control. Sometimes you just want to understand where people stand, and I feel like things have been made very clear to you. And now that you're walking out of this chapter, you're ending this chapter, you're going through this transition. On the other side of this is more experiences, more love, more knowledge, more experiences that are rooted in things that you actually want to feel. Okay, does that make sense? It's more things happening that you would actually want to have happen. And basically you're saying either you're on this train or you're off this train, and there's no getting back on, there's no back and forth, there's no in and out. Maybe people have tended to like play with you in the past, in the sense of they would just drop you whenever it was convenient or whenever you became inconvenient, right? And then pick you back up whenever it became convenient for them. And you may have loved them or cared about them so much that you allowed people to walk in and out of your life like this. It's an absolute no more. I don't think you are at the stage or phase of your life anymore where you are wanting to people please or make everybody like you or just be amicable and affable and all these friendly adjectives, right? You don't want that anymore. You want to be the fullness of who you are, and you want to be able to express your emotions fully with the people that you choose to have around you. I do feel like you're coming out of a time, out of a chapter where you felt stifled, where you didn't feel valued, where you felt underappreciated, and it took you taking charge and healing your inner divine masculine energy in order for you to allow your feminine energy to fully flourish. A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people say, well, I want to be feminine, so I'm going to dive straight into this femininity and only femininity. I'm only going to acknowledge femininity. I'm not going to, acknowledge masculinity in any way, that it exists within me in any way. But everybody needs balance. Now, what that balance is for you is different. It's not always going to be 50-50, right? For some people, they're feminine dominant. For some people, they're masculine dominant. For some people, they're pretty much even keel. And I feel like in your inner world, your masculine energy, your divine masculine, the one that lives within, was wounded, was suffering, was struggling, was having a difficult time asserting himself, was having a difficult time having his voice heard, was having a difficult time implementing rules and discipline and structure into your life. Sometimes I think, well, all the time, I think so much faster than I speak, so my mouth is always trying to play catch up. So please excuse me, but there's a time where we have to acknowledge that our feminine energy can only fully flourish when our masculine energy is healed and ready to assert itself. There's a time for action. There's a time for rest, right? There's a time for creativity. There's a time for productivity. There's a time for all of these things. And when you finally find that harmony, that inner rhythm within you that really speaks to who you are as a person and speaks to where you are right now as far as the chapter that you're in your life, it allows everything else outside of you to flourish. You maybe thought that rules and structure and discipline and boundaries were a way for you to push people away, or maybe you were hurting people by asserting yourself. Maybe you were hurting people by enforcing your boundaries. I think you tend to feel things very deeply, so it's difficult for you to not always be so compassionate and so graceful to the point where it becomes detrimental to you. You don't need to humble yourself so much that you don't acknowledge that your feelings and emotions are just as valid as anybody else's. And if nobody else is going to honor that, then you have to honor that. Okay? Let's clarify. Let's see. I was going to say the death card here. We got the Five of Wands. Let's clarify the death card, please. We got the Sun and the Five of Wands, okay? There's an ending to like this unnecessary conflict, this unnecessary struggle and strain. I feel that there was this kind of tug of war happening within you, okay? And this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the feminine verse. It was almost like, the feminine in you versus the masculine in you. They weren't working together. They weren't working in harmony. And I feel like it created all of this kind of inner turmoil in you. And what I mean by that, let me give you a tangible example. Even though this may not be your story, I'll give you the quickest example that comes to my mind here. If you are somebody who tends to attract people, whether it's friends, romantic relationships, or you entertain relationships with your family that are very much one-sided, where they're always getting what they need from you, and when you ask for your needs to be met, it's, oh, you're so selfish. Oh, you're so self-centered. It's almost like people chastised you for trying to hold them accountable, so you just learn to never attempt to hold people accountable, right? And now so your inner world was in chaos because you know that these people are maybe not treating you right, or maybe not doing the best they can for you, or maybe they're not prioritizing you the way that you're prioritizing them. Maybe they're not putting in the same effort to you that you would be putting into them, right? And so, you know, inside you feel something is wrong, you feel something is off, but the version of you that they experience is not speaking up, not saying your truth, not saying how you really feel. So instead of being able to love them fully, and instead of being able to flourish in these relationships, you shut your heart down little by little by little, because now this person starts to feel unsafe. You come to them within an attempt to hold them accountable, they rebuke you, okay? You realize, oh, can't do that with that person. So in order for me to be in community with this person, you've learned this over time. This is like a pattern of behavior. In order for me to be in community with this person, I can't really be honest with them. I can't really tell them how I feel, because they're always going to find a way to turn it around and make themselves the victim. They're always going to find a way to turn it around to make me the villain. So nope, I can't be honest with them, but I love them. I care about them, so I still want to be in community with them. And then your inner masculine is saying, hell nah. Your inner masculine is saying, absolutely not. Not on my watch. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all have seen that in Yama Fix My Life. Anyway, but seriously, your masculine is screaming from the inside, or was, right? Screaming from the inside, defend yourself, defend your boundaries. And then whenever you did indulge that voice within you, or that urge or that desire to defend yourself, to stand up for yourself, you probably took it too far. You probably went too far. You probably went from one extreme to the other, because your divine feminine and masculine energies were just not in balance. They weren't working in harmony. They weren't working together. And I think that this transition that's happening within you is kind of putting an end to that inner chaos, because now you're understanding the significance of your inner masculine and integrating that energy like into your divine feminine energy as well. So there's something here about creating that balance, creating that structure within oneself, and understanding that boundaries are made to protect you, not necessarily to keep people out, not necessarily to hurt people or harm people or push people away. It's meant so that within this little space, you get to thrive, and you get to be as open and as loving and as giving and as nurturing as you choose to be, as emotional as you want to be, right? Because you know the people who are inside here are safe. And you can have different rings and rungs and structures and hierarchies and tiers within your own system of boundaries, where, well, you're an acquaintance, so you are maybe on a little bit outside, but you're my best friend, so you get to be inside, you know? I think you're realizing that you get to decide that for yourself. Nobody can dictate what access they have to you or what version of you that they get. You decide that. You learn who this person is, and you decide where they belong in your life. They don't get to dictate. They don't get to treat you poorly and say, well, no, I'm your best friend, or I'm your partner, or I'm your spouse, or I'm your parent, and you can't let me go. You can't cut me off. Well, if you treat me poorly, I am going to cut you off. And that's just going to be that. The Four Cups at the bottom of the deck, because this is talking about habits and patterns of behavior, specifically dealing with the emotions. All right, let's talk about this Ace of Chalices, because I do see new love potentially coming your way. I think this is somebody who is not going to be afraid to claim you or lay claim to you. I know you're not a possession. I know that you probably don't want to be owned. And that's not necessarily what I mean. What I mean is that maybe in the past you've struggled with people coming out and saying, hey, I want you. I want to be with you. I want you to be my only one. Let's be exclusive. Let's create a future together. And this is somebody who's going to be honest with you. There's also somebody who might want to make amends with you or apologize. This, like, you know, for example, for some of you, this could be somebody from your past, or this could just represent your own inner divine masculine if this is not somebody outside of you. Okay, let's clarify this Ace of Chalices here. Ace of Chalices for Cancer. We got the Three of Swords and the Chariot. Yeah. Moving on from a difficult time where people were disappointing you, where people were hurting you, betraying you. You were giving everybody everything you had. We got the Queen of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. This could also indicate that you may have some mother wounds that you are healing, that you are moving on from. Or you have a desire that centers around your idea of femininity, that basically centers motherhood or parenthood, because this is the wifey mama bear card for me. Three of Swords with the Chariot, right? We're talking about moving on after a period of having your heart broken and doing so by your own will, finding new love, new fulfillment, in new ways through opening this new chapter, okay? So I don't necessarily see anyone specific here, but I do feel like if there is someone coming into your life, it's possible that they could be an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. They're going to be somebody who does not play about you. They're going to be somebody who does not let other people play with you. And they're going to be somebody who values communication in a relationship in a way that you haven't experienced before. But for most of you, what I see is that this is your own inner divine masculine. Speaking your truth, standing up for yourself, saying, hey, this is who I am and I refuse for you to tell me about myself, for you to tell me what I should and should not allow, for you to tell me what my boundaries should be against you. You don't get that right. I get to choose, right? I get to choose what my boundaries are. I think you're leaving the past in the past because you realize and you acknowledge that that's where it belongs. You don't need to linger there anymore. You don't need to keep thinking about a time where you let people get over on you. You let people play you, because let's reframe it. Let's reframe it in the frame in which you being a kind-hearted, loving, giving, and open person is a good thing. It's a positive thing. And them taking advantage of that, that's the shitty part. That's the messed up part. Not the part that you were naive, maybe. Not the part that maybe you were a little bit oblivious as to how these people were hurting you or how these people were taking advantage of you, because it takes life experience to learn these things, right? Let's stop blaming the victim, or I don't even want to call you a victim because you're not, right? Let's stop blaming the people who go into things with their heart open and we laugh at them, we point our finger and we say, haha, you got played because you're stupid and you're naive and you love too easily and you're too giving and too caring. That's a problem? Well, it's only a problem in a world full of people who want to take advantage of that. And the fucked up part is most of these people are the ones who need your love the most. Boundaries are important for you in order for you to fully flourish and fully dive into that aspect of your femininity that you like to linger in. I see you going forward a much more loving, open, caring, and giving person because you have boundaries. And because you've learned how to enforce them. You've learned how to use your voice and be honest with people, even if it causes conflict. This is what I have for you, Cancer. I hope that this was helpful or enlightening in some way. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll be with you next time.